Okay, so I'm going to show you the kit contents first before we get to the how-to. I want to show you there's actually 3 different covers that come in the kit. You've got this cream cover here, and they're all the same, they're just in different colors. I wanted to give you guys a bunch of options with this kit. So there's the pink, and then there's that pretty blue color. So you get 3 covers, but there's actually several of the journal pages that you can use as a cover too, and you'll see that in a little bit. So this 8x8 plain distress paper sheet, this is for the flap or spine of your mini book if you just make a mini book. And you'll see what I'm talking about in the tutorial. So I printed out 4 just in case I mess up. And then these are the journal pages. So like I said, this is a really cool book because it's like 3 kits in one, because it can be a mini album, it could be a journal, it could be a daily planner, a recipe book, or a project planner for scrappers or crafters or artists alike. So these next pages I'm going to show you are meant to be the mini album pages if you make a mini album or an art journal. So there's the first one. So you'll see they're separated in 2 sections, and what you do is you cut these out and then you fold them in half and glue them together to make one double-sided paper, just like we've always done our little journals. There's another one. And there's that one. A little fun one, some rose work on the edge. There's this one. So this one could easily be turned into a cover if you wanted your cover to look like that. So you can see a lot of these solid patterns can be turned into your cover if you print out 2 of them if you want the front and back cover to look the same. So this one could be a cover easily as well. This one totally could be a cover because it's a full solid pattern, just separated into 2. Another one that you can use for a cover. That one too even. Okay, so now we're going to look at the tabs. So you've got a ton of tabs here to use, and I'll show you an easy way to cut these out in the tutorial as well. So these tabs are formatted for a mini album, a junk journal, or your recipe book, or your daily planner. So you'll see that there's some tabs that say About Me if you do an About Me book, Family, Summer, Journey, Love, and then you've got your planner tabs that say Notes, Month, To-Do, Schedule, Journal, Sketches, Contacts, Receipts, Lists, Photos, Week, and Today. And then you've got tabs for your recipe book if you decide to just make a recipe book. You've got breakfast, beef, poultry, seafood, veggies, pasta, baking, recipes, dinner, dessert, lunch, appetizers. And then you've got sort of like your smash book style stuff. And there's a calendar one right here for your planner. You've got your smash book type stuff, one that says Epic, Laugh Out Loud, Us, Happy, and Love This. So you can use these for just about anything, and there's something for everything in there. And the whole idea behind the whole book, like I said, is to put all these books together and have the ultimate life journal for your everyday mama. And then these are little faux Polaroid frames. So what you do is you cut this out as one piece, you stick your photo down in the middle, and then you glue it, you fold it and glue it together, and it makes a double-sided photo frame, and it kind of looks like a Polaroid. So that could be used in any of the books, but it's ultimately meant to be one book. So here are the daily planner pages. So you can print as many of these as you want. If you really are into details and you plan your days every day, then you're obviously going to have to print a bunch of these. I only printed out a few because I'm only going to use them on really important days like CHA, where I need to have a specific schedule written down. So I printed out about 5 of those, and if I ever need more, I could just print out some more as I go. And this it says daily planner, the day and date, and then you have your time schedule here, and then you've got prioritized task list here where you could check off all the tasks, and then you've got your notes down there. So everything you need to plan out your day. And then for this one, this is for the calendar, and it's awesome because it's a blank calendar, so it's not limited to 2013. You can use it any year and start any time during the year, and all you have to do is look up your calendar online and write your own numbers down in your days of the week. So pretty easy, and it says up here month of, and then you've got some notes here so you can jot some quick things down on there if you need to. So I printed out 12 of those for the whole year. And then this This is your lists and shopping list page and your notes. So one side is for lists. So it says up here list, and you have some room to write what the list is. And then you've got your shopping list on the side. So, and then this section here is it's meant to be a different page, and it's for notes. So the notes have a little date there. So I printed out quite a few of those because I know I'm probably going to use these a lot, and I'll cut these in half and use these in separate sections. Alright, and then the next page is really cool because this is for all of you scrapbookers and art journalers and all of you that like to sketch out your stuff before you start. So this is your project planner. So you've got your project sketch area here where you can sketch out your layouts or your project. You can take notes and you can add a supply list. So if you're planning a mini book and you know that you're out of brads and you need some brads, you can write them down in there, and then you know to get the brads for that project. And then you've got extra notes and ideas on this page here. So that's pretty cool, and I printed out quite a few of those because I like to plan my projects sometimes. And also for your planner, you have your weekly schedule. So it says week of at the top, so you can write what week it is, and then it's got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So you can if you're not a daily planner and you plan by the week, you can look on your weekly planner and see what you're doing that week or what your work schedule is. So I printed out quite a few of those, and I kind of print these 6 weeks at a time. So six of those, or 3 of those. It's double-sided, so you get 2 of those on one page for that one. Alright, and then the next one, I already showed you guys the daily planner, so I'm going to put that aside. And now this is the recipe book portion. Really simple, nice cream colors, because I'm sure you guys will decorate it. Over here you would stick your photos of the recipe or what you made out of the recipe, and then I love recipe cards, but they're way too small to write down everything I need to write down when I make a recipe. So you've got this whole page to write down the recipe and the instructions. And then up here it says you've got room to write the time frame for the recipe and the temperature that you're cooking it at. And then it says from the kitchen of, so you know where you got the recipe, and then your 5-star rating. So that's kind of cool, and they're all the same color. They're all neutral. And that's Beckham saying hi. So really fun, really cool. I love cooking, so I had to have a cool recipe book. Next, you've got your bookmarks. So there's 2 bookmarks. You cut this out like this, and then you fold it in half and glue it together, so it's a double-sided, nice and thick bookmark. All of this is printed out on cardstock. So you've got 2 bookmarks, one that you can write on and scrapbook on, another one that you can leave plain or make a list on it, or you can write your bucket list on there, something fun and cool like that. So there's 2 bookmarks that you can use in there. And then something really cool is you will get 2 black and white prints in your kit, and these are meant to be print on transparencies. So if you go to, I like Office Depot because it's only 59 cents to get a transparency printed. If you bring your own transparency paper like I do, you save 10 cents. But the price to print it is exactly the same as if you print it on cardstock. There's no price difference. So 59 cents, and you could print on transparency. And these are designed to be printed on transparencies, but you could just print them on black and white paper if you want. So the first one says planner, and then the second page on this one says life journal. So you can use this in the beginning of your book or to divide your book up if you're making one big journal like I am. I'm making one big journal with the planner, the scrapbook, and the recipe book, and the project planner. So I'm going to use these to divide my sections. So this one says planner, this one says life journal. And then the next one, it says photos and then recipes. So you can kind of separate your mini album and then separate your recipe portion to your book. So that's really fun. And then just for fun, I printed some of my journal pages out on the transparency as well, because I thought it would be kind of a cool touch somewhere in the book just for fun. I'm probably not really going to do much on these pages other than maybe stick some photos on there. So I just wanted to show you what they look like. They turned out beautiful. I love them. Same price, 59 cents. I think the actually the black and whites are cheaper. So there's that one. This is one of the cover pages in the minty blue. And then I printed out 2 of these because I really, really love this rose pattern that I created. Trying to get a flat view of it there. So I printed 2 of those out. So I just thought it would be kind of fun to have some clear pages in there to stick some photos on or something like that. So that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so we are going to go ahead and move on to the tutorial, and I'm going to show you how I put this book together, how a couple of different ways that you can do the covers. So really quick, I wanted to tell you that you can't, if you're just making the mini album part or just a recipe book and you're not going to use binding rings like I'm using, you can do the same exact binding that I did on the Journey Book kit. I have a YouTube video on it. You can search it. It's called Journey Book. Or you could do this new binding technique that I'm going to be doing, which is very similar, only we're going to incorporate binding rings. And I'm using binding rings because I am going to use my book as a planner, so I want to be able to take pages in and out of my book. So that is what the kit looks like. It's massive. It's basically 3 books in one, but it's super fun, and I've been working on it for the last year, so I just wanted to finish it up really quick this weekend so I can get all my stuff together before I have all these events to do. So I'm going to go ahead and put my book together, and then I'll show you how to do the covers. Okay, so I'm going to start off by showing you how to cut out your tabs. And this is really easy. All you're going to do is you're going to cut them out into strips first. And you can cut them out as you go. I don't usually do them all at once. I'll keep them all together until I'm going to use the tab. But what I do is I just cut out a strip. You can do this with your paper trimmer. You don't have to do it with an X-Acto knife. I just like the X-Acto knife because it's easier. And then what you're going to do is you can see where the fold needs to be on the tab. It's right in the center. So you take your ruler and you just line up where the crease is going to be, and you go just a little bit under the crease because you have to make room to score. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your bone fold and you're going to score along that line. Now I'm at home, not at the studio, and I didn't bring my bone fold home with me, or one of them home with me, since I have a ton of those for some reason. Actually, I just lose them all the time, and then I end up buying a new one, and then I find the other one later. So you would score along that crease. I'm just going to fold since I don't have my bone fold. So see, it's right on the crease, and then you're going to fold it in half this way, just like that. And then what you'll do is you'll cut them out, and they will line up perfectly. Depending on how you folded them, it might be off slightly, but usually if you do it right, it's perfect every time. So this way, you're cutting out the whole tab at once, and you're cutting it out in half the time. So what I do is I cut them out, and then I kind of just ink the edges just a little bit with a similar color to the color of the paper, and they end up looking really nice. So even if you leave a little bit of white on there, you're still good. So see, it pretty much cuts them out pretty perfectly. So I've got a little bit of white on my back showing, but that's okay because I'm going to ink my edges. But that's just an easy way to cut out all of your tabs without having to cut all around all those funky grooves. So go ahead and do that, and you don't have to, like I said, don't cut them all out at once. Just have them ready, and whenever you're going to glue them down to a page, you find the one that you want, and then you just cut it out. So super easy. And now I am going to get started on putting my book together. I just cut out all my pages, so you can see here, they're all cut out, and I just did it with the ruler and the X-Acto knife. And Garrett did half of it with the paper trimmer, so you can cut it any way you like. If you use an X-Acto knife and a ruler, a metal ruler, it tends to go by a lot faster. Alright, for the covers, it's really easy. I messed up and I punched holes in my cover, so just never mind those holes. What I'm doing is I'm taking some Tattered Angels brushed cotton cream paper. And this is has kind of like a rubbery feeling finish, and it's really strong, thick cardstock. Instead of using chipboard, because I want my book to kind of feel leathery and flexible, I'm just going to glue my covers and my liners on the outside and inside of this brushed cotton cream. So I'm just making a little thicker, well, quite a bit thicker than the cardstock, but thinner than chipboard because I want it to be flexible. If you don't want yours to be flexible, then go ahead and use chipboard instead of this for this part, instead of the Tattered Angels paper for this part. Alright, same thing for this one. Just make sure you cover it really well with glue. I want this to last a long time. All right, so I've got my front cover covered front and back. I'm gonna do the same thing for my back cover. And the holes that are on there don't really matter too much because we're gonna punch holes on that side anyway. So I'm not too bummed about it. All right. Just like that. And then we're going to do the back. All right. And let me just make sure I'm putting this on the right side, and I am. So these are the pink is my liner. I wanted to use the blue on the outside. All right, so this piece we're not doing anything to, so we can go ahead and punch that. I'm using my handy dandy 7 Gypsies bindery punch for this. I just make sure there's an even amount of space on both sides. And then I can go ahead and punch this one too. Hopefully the holes will be close, and they are. They're actually right on, which is awesome. Love when that happens. And now you're going to take the inside of your book along with your notes and lists, because you want to have the exact thickness. Because we're going to do something sort of different with these notes and lists for our book. So I'm just going to hold my guts and my covers all together. And then I'm kind of going to guesstimate. I'm going to make a flap that goes over to the front. So I know I want this to be on the very, very edge on the back. And then I want it to overlap in the front a little bit. So we're just guesstimating. It doesn't have to be precise because your book is going to end up growing a little bit. So I'm thinking I want my flap to go right about there. So I'm just making a mark with my fingernail. And then I'm going to cut that piece down to that mark. I'm using the grid on my cutting mat here and my ruler, and I'm lining up the mark with a vertical grid line and the bottom with the horizontal, and then I can line up my ruler to make sure I'm going to cut it nice and straight. Alright, so there that is, and then you're going to go ahead and take your Tired Angels paper and you're going to cut the same size piece out of your Tired Angels paper. And once again, I'm not even measuring because I just like to go really fast. So I'm using the previous cutout as a template. I'm doing the same thing on the top. This is thick, thick paper, so it takes me a couple of tries sometimes. All right, and then you're gonna need a liner piece for that, and I think that this ends up being pretty close, but not quite. So we're gonna cut out one more piece out of this because we don't want any of this cream to show. And I'm just using the cardstock because it's pretty thick. I cut into a little bit there, but that's okay. All right, and we're going to do the same thing that we did to our covers. We're going to cover the front and back with this brown piece. And this piece is going to be flexed a little bit, so you want to make sure you put a good amount of glue on there. It's got to be really glued down well. All right. There's the front. back. I'm just making sure that my distressed edge is on the same side. All right. Got that glued down nice and tight. And then now I'm just going to cut the height, same height as my page. Just like that. And I want to corner around these corners that are going to flap over. So I'm going to go ahead and get my corner chomper. Okay, I'm using this paper gaiter that Canvas Corp offers. It's awesome because you barely have to press on it and it chomps through just about anything. So you just line it up, you press this lever, you just barely have to press it and it chomps right through. And it's the same for chipboard or metals or wood or anything that you're using. You just barely have to press on there, and somehow the way the leverage works in there, it chomps through like butter. So I love that, and I'll end up corner rounding all my pages in my book when I'm done as well. Okay, so I've got that piece just how I want it. It's going to end up flapping over like this. So I'm going to take the back of my cover, and I'm just going to flip it this way. I'm only going to go in about 1/2 inch, but I want to have some kind of cute transition, so I'm going to grab some lace to glue underneath it or next to it. Got a few choices here, and I think I'm going to use that blue because I think it's so pretty. So I'm just going to cut out a piece that's about that size, and I think this is Maya Road lace. I'm pretty sure it's my favorite lace. So I'm going to go ahead and get a glue line going on the inside here. Come on now. If I could just get it to go. So once again, we're about a little over 1/4 inch. Probably best to do about 1/2 inch, to be honest. This would be a great place to sew. So I'm just lining it up here. And I'm just going to use my grid once again to make sure it's not crooked, and it's slightly crooked on top. So I'm just pulling it out a little bit. Alright. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the lace transition there. So I'm going to put a line of glue there. And that lace is just thick enough to be flush with the thickness of that cardstock on that flap. I'm going to go ahead and cut off the excess since it's stretched a little bit. And then you can even do one on the inside. I'm not going to worry about it right this second, especially while this is drying. Okay, so once that's dry, it's going to end up going like this. This is going to flap over just like that, and you're going to have a leather looking book. But we're going to do some fun binding rings using the Canvas Corp cording, so you can see just how thick that flap is with that Terry Angels paper. So I'm going to go ahead and let this flap dry to my cover before I mess with it anymore, because I want to make sure it's really nice and dry. And I might even just add some little brads here just as a studded sort of accent, but I'll think about it. Okay, so now I've got my covers out. It's nice and dry. And one thing I forgot to do was coat my cover before I glued down that lace, but it's not a big deal. We are going to coat our cover on the outside only with some matte multi-medium by Claudine Helmuth, and I just put mine in this big beauty jar because I get it in bulk. So I'm going to grab a paintbrush, and we're going to do a nice thick coat. You start out thin at first, and I'm just staying away from my lace, and you can touch your lace with it. It's not going to make it look yucky or anything like that. You could actually probably even coat your lace with it, but I don't want to. I want mine to still have that fabric feel, so I'm not doing that. So I'm going to do 2 thin coats, letting it dry in between on the front and back on the outside only. And this is what's going to protect your cover from scratching and staining, and it's going to make it slightly waterproof, and it's going to help keep the color of your print for a long time, even if it's in the sun a little bit. Which hopefully you guys don't keep any of your projects in the sun anyway, because nothing will really protect your projects from the sun. Even archival spray, no matter how much they tell you it does, it doesn't. Okay, so I've got a nice thick coat going already, so I may be able to just get away with 1 coat on that side. And I'm going to go ahead and do my flap as well, because I especially want that to feel like it's leather. And I'm going to ink my edges after this dries, and the great thing about this matte medium is it does take ink. Oops, didn't mean to touch that. It does take ink really well, so works out pretty good. And if you notice your paper start to warp a little bit, don't worry about it, because when this dries, it usually flattens it right back out, especially if you use your heat tool. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do my coating, and then I'll let it dry and I'll be back. Okay, super frustrated. I finished the book for the most part, and I didn't realize that while I was talking to myself for 30 minutes, the camera wasn't on. So you're not going to get to see me put the book together because it's already done. And I'm sure those of you who have done YouTube videos know how frustrating that is, because I'm sure it's happened to a lot of people. But anyway, so I'll just show you how I did it. It's really easy. So I've got the string tied. For the binding, I just tied some of the canvas cork cord as binding rings instead of binding rings, just because I like the look of it. And on the back, you'll see all I did was I took an extra piece of the spine and I corner rounded a little square, and I glued a long piece of linen cord by Canvas Cork on there, so it's attached to the back, and then that goes into the front and holds the flap closed. You can even, if you don't want to do that, you can take some jean buttons and button it down. And mine's a little loose right now because I'm still kind of filling it up, but once I fill it up, it won't wobble around as much. And if you really don't like that wobbliness, if it's too wobbly, if you don't get it tight enough, binding rings will totally fix that. So here is the opening to my page, and it has a little paper bag that says receipts. It has the receipts tab, and I'm going to keep all my little receipts in there, of course. The life journal entry page, and it's just a plain page to go behind that transparency. And like I said before, the transparencies cost the same to print on as the paper does. Even the price of the transparency itself at Office Depot is the same. So it says planner. I've got 2 transparencies because I made a little divider that says calendar. And then here is your monthly calendar section. I've got 12 months in here, or 12 of these in here for all year long. And then you skip to the next tab, and it says week. And I put my bookmark on there because I'm going to use the week section of my book the most. Let me just make sure I'm still on camera here. Yeah. So your week page says Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then we'll skip over to today. This tab says today, sorry. And then you've got your daily planner here, which is cool. And then I'm going to skip to the next tab that says notes. So notes right up there. And you got notes and the date, so if you take a lot of notes, you'll have that. And then we're going to skip to recipes. And the back of the note page is blank, but you can double-side print this with any of my printable liners that I have on the site. This one says recipes. Another transparency behind that one just for fun. So there's a ton of tabs for the recipe books, but I really only focus on recipes that are like for dinner or dessert. So I only kept, I only did the dinner and dessert tab on the top, because that's all I care about. I don't really put a lot of energy into breakfast and lunch, unfortunately. So there's the recipe portion of the book, and then you're going to skip to the next tab, and it says lists. And Garrett and I are big list makers, so anytime we go grocery shopping or we have things that we need to do, we always make a list. So you've got the list here, and then the shopping list here. So this list has a blank line, so you could write whatever the list is on there. Next is sketches. That's what the tab says, and then here's the bookmark. You can write whatever you want on there. And when you open that up, you've got your space to sketch out a project. You get to write your notes, your supply list, and then your other notes and ideas and pictures of your project, hopefully. So now I'm skipping to the last tab, which says photos. And this is really cool, because this is where you'll do your sort of your mini album or your smash book. But what's really cool is this kit comes with 3 different covers. So you can make a planner, a recipe book, and a mini album all separately. And I think you get 22 mini album pages, which is a kit in itself. So the idea for me is I put them all together in one, and as I'm going, I can smash book and do my thing. And when my mini album gets full in the back, all I do is I take all those pages out and I stick them in a new pre-made book with one of the covers in there. So you can make an extra book with covers, and then you would stick this in there and then refill it again with new pages, and then as you go along you could smash book and then take it out and put it in your book. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of like an on-the-go scrapbook. And the same thing with the recipe book. As your recipes fill up on here, you can make a third book that's just for recipes and use the templates for your recipe book. And as these fill up, you just stick them in there, because oftentimes I'll go to a friend's house, or I'll go eat somewhere and I'll want the recipe for something, and I'll get it and then I lose it in my purse or something. So I thought it would be cool if I just draw it down here really quick, and then when I'm done, I get home and this is full of all these recipes that I found along the way. I could take them out and put them into a recipe book. And then when your planner pages get filled up, you just tear them out and put new ones in. If you want to keep those, you can. And you could put those in a third book if you want to. So that's kind of the idea behind why I put 3 different covers in there, but I also wanted you to choose what color you wanted your cover to be. So then I just added some extra tabs, like one that says journal, and I think I'm going to add some blank pages behind here, and then journey just for fun, so you can see how you can use the fun tabs. So I haven't done anything to my back yet. I've got my brad ends showing here. I'm going to put a piece of lace over that, and then probably another little pocket back here or something. I'm not sure. So it's a pretty good sized book. There's a ton of pages in here. If you get some large binding rings, they will fit perfectly in here. Like I said, I just used the cord, and I didn't tie this top one very good. I just did the cord like that. And well, now I can show you how to tie it, which is really, really easy, and I'm sure you can figure it out on your own, but I'll show you anyway. So I just tie a little knot, and then if you're worried about it coming apart like this one did, you just glue the knot, which I usually just glue the knot, and I have so much of this cord that if I end up adding pages or taking pages out, I'll just cut it and retie it. So super easy, very easy to put together. I can't wait to see what you guys do with yours. This is going to help me out a lot, I'm thinking. I have a planner already, but it's not pretty. I don't know what to say. It's just not a pretty planner, and it doesn't do all the things I want it to do because it's not geared towards an artist or a scrapbooker. And it's not pretty to look at. So I thought this would be a cool idea. Definitely something that every girl needs, I think. And don't forget to tag me if you do make one, because I really, really want to see what you do. And even if you don't purchase the printables, the link to the printables are right down there, by the way. Even if you don't use these printables, you can still make a book just like this. With just regular paper or whatever you want, and I'd still really like to see it because it's a really fun idea. So there's the back, and I remember I said I was going to add the studs, and I added those finally. So I hope you guys like it, and thank you so much for watching. It's a really busy month of July, so I'm not sure how many videos I'm going to get done. I'm still going to continue doing my summer book that I started, where I was going to do a page every day. Time just got away from me because I've had to go to Arkansas like 4 times since then, getting ready for CHA and getting our booth ready, which reminds me, I'm launching a brand new line at CHA this summer of some awesome scrapbook stuff that I hope you guys come and check out. But please forgive me if I go MIA for a couple weeks during July, because I'll be at CHA for a week with Garrett and Canvas Corp and Seven Gypsies and Tired Angels, which is all the same company now. Crazy, I know. But that's what I'm working with now. So I'm going to be there in July, and we're also moving back to California in July, actually next week. So it's going to be crazy, but I'm going to try to do as many videos as I can and hopefully keep you entertained a little bit. But again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys later.